It would have been, I mean, he probably would have passed by now. He wouldn't have handled it.
Yeah. And my dad,
Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. Funding for Chautauqua Sunrise is provided in part by the Chautauqua County Industrial Development Agency, with offices in Jamestown, Dunkirk, and Westfield, helping businesses to prosper throughout Chautauqua County.
The Chautauqua Center.
Are you looking for affordable medical, dental, or counseling services? The Chautauqua Center is always accepting new patients at their Jamestown and Dunkirk locations. They offer discounted prescriptions and accept all insurances. From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
hey everybody, I'm Doc Hamels and welcome to Chautauqua Sunrise. Happy Saturday to all of you. Well, got up this morning, took the frost off the bed. Barb left the door open during the night. 44 degrees. What the heck? It was like 91 one night and now it's 44 in the morning. Anyways, as I keep saying every week, I don't put any of my clothes away for the seasons. I still have my winter stuff, my fall, spring, and summer. Everything's still out there. I was in half and half today. Brody was running around. He's looking at me. I go, heavy dew this morning. He came in soaked. But it's been absolutely gorgeous. We had a little bit of rain. That was a good thing. But the sunshine has been wonderful. And it looks like we're on a nice week coming up, as far as I know. And the sunsets at my house, I don't know where it is at your house, unbelievable. Huge sunsets setting right on Lake Erie. Just, it looks like the ocean out there every night. Just beautiful. Well, good morning to the world. We're streaming, as you know, and please leave a note if you like. And I want to say good afternoon to our listeners on WRFA 107.9, low power to the people in Jamestown. Thanks for tuning in on Tuesdays at 1 o'clock. And if you're watching us later on channel 1301 out of Spectrum, glad you could join us on Access Chautauqua. Got a few things to talk to you about, and we got a great guest coming on here shortly. And so do stick around. Well, 44 degrees I mentioned, so I went outside and I'm looking around and I see that my great idea of getting the garbage ready for this morning when I go to the dump, I had a visitor or two. It had to be raccoons. They were probably all over the back of my truck, chicken bone here, chicken bone there. And then yesterday, my wife says, look out the window. We have a bay window, we have a bird feeder there. Well, there used to be a bird feeder there. It has one of those shepherd hooks, you know, and you hook your bird feeder on there, bent right over. Old Smokey the Bear had visited us again this year. I don't know how in the world they do that, but it was like just bent right over, and I don't know how the heck he got it's a screw-on type bird feeder. I mean, this is heavy duty. I've learned over the years, you're going to have bird feeders in the country, you got to have like commercial grade steel. Somehow he unscrewed it, or she, I don't know, and somehow got in there. And in case anybody finds a suet cage in your backyard, let me know. Okay, I don't know where it is. This is the second year they've disappeared, and they walked off with it. Unbelievable. Emerald, our wonderful tech over here, she and I came in from Ripley this morning, and we had a little surprise coming across the road, didn't we? At least a 6-point buck came charging across, still velvet on the antlers, and gave us pause. So, wildlife in the country. It is great to live here. Well, school's out, and congratulations to all of the graduates for 2020. I know there's been 6th grade graduations, 8th grade graduations, of course high school graduations, college graduations, and so on. I hear that they're going to have some ceremonies. I think they're trying to do some outdoor things, so let's keep our fingers crossed that all those folks that do those plannings for those events, the weather's good, not too hot, not too cold, no rain. I know I conducted some of them over the years outside of Ripley, and I got my bean burned a few times. So think about where the sun's going to be. That's always important. I'm sure they're going to figure something out, but we're just glad that there's going to be a conclusion to the school year. I just know it's just been so difficult for so many, and but we're hanging in there, and people are being pretty creative. So hang in there. I'm bringing this up every week, and I'll be doing this for a long time, so get used to it. If you are unemployed at the moment, for no fault of your own, you may find that food and money are getting tight. There are food banks, and I'm going to go through the list every week like I promised. Go out there, go to the food banks, get some food if you need it, all right? If you know somebody else that needs it, drive them over there, whatever it takes. Generally, you got to fill out a simple form, a few questions, because I've talked about this with the folks, and a lot of it is just for tracking purposes, and also if there's a need, the bigger food banks like in Buffalo or wherever they come from, they'll supply more food based on your needs. So you don't use it, you lose it. So please don't be bashful. My own personal life, when we were kids, we had to use the food bank when we were growing up, when there was some tough times back in the 50s. Ripley Central School, there's a room, it's my old office at the school building. It's right on the Circle, and it's in the school building on North State Street. I think I can't remember what days it is, but you can always look it up. But it's in Ripley, there's a food bank. Brockton, 7081 US 20. It's actually in Portland, but the food bank is there. St. Susan Center is still offering free meals on 31 Water Street, and there's a food bank right next door to that at the Jamestown Food Bank. Check that out. In Westfield, the United Methodist Church there has a food pantry of sorts. In Sherman, there's something called Susan's Pantry at 107 West Main Street. Okay. Silver Creek, there's a food bank. You'll have to look that one up. I just saw that there is one there. I don't have the address. If somebody ever wants to call in and let me know, or email it to me, I'd be happy to have that announced. Chautauqua County Rural Ministry in Dunkirk, 319 Washington Street, has food. St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Mayville, same thing. And if you go across the border, our friends over in Northeast Pennsylvania, they have the Community Food Pantry at 30 Bothell Street. And Jeff, I'm assuming we still have that slide for the Salvation Army. When Christine Ramirez was here, we were talking about Salvation Army, what they do. If you're in the Jamestown area, 664-4108. In Dunkirk, 366-3701. My understanding is the way it works is you call them. They will set up an appointment to deliver food at your door. You don't answer the door. They ring the bell, knock on it. They leave the food at your doorstep or whatever. You don't talk to the driver or hug them or thank them. Just wave or whatever, and the food will be there magically. 664-4108 in Jamestown, 3701. Do it. It's the right thing to do. Okay, I want to do a couple of birthdays. One person that has been a loyal fan and follower of our TV show, T.D. Withington, has got a special birthday. I won't say how old you are, but T.D. has been watching the show with family members, I think, from day one. So have a great day. And then my little 3-year-old grandson, Rowan Hamels, he's going to be 3 years old down in Florida on Monday. He's just a little sweetheart and very independent, I might add. So that's how we roll here. If you have an anniversary, a birthday, special event, whatever, give us a call at 753-5225. If you're shy, the guys will write it down in a piece of paper, they hand it to me, and we get it on the air for you. Chautauqua Sunrise is a community-based mission in the sense that I want to be able to share information with you, and don't be shy. You can email it to us, you can Facebook us, Twitter us, all that good stuff. It's all right there on the screen. Okay, so please do that for us. All right, let's see. We are going to have a couple of announcements here. I don't have much from people, so must be not much is going on. You're letting me down. So let's see what we got here. From Prevention Works. Okay, they used to be CASIC. Okay, we don't have a slide for this, but just an announcement. It says here, build a strong foundation for your children. Your child's first 5 years are so important. Learn how to make the most of them with active parenting the first 5 years. In this program, you'll learn the best ways to nurture your child from birth to pre-K with a just right combination of freedom and nonviolent discipline. And I'm going to take a moment just to say that right now, with all the stressors that people are going through and our little munchkins can get under our skin, it's always good to have a few extra tricks in your tool bag when dealing with little guys. So this might be of interest to you. There's going to be 4 2-hour sessions for parenting classes, and they're going to be on July 1, 8, 15, and 22. They're going to be held from noon to 2 o'clock. And due to the COVID-19, these classes will be held virtually through Zoom video conferencing until further notice. And this is what you're going to learn. What a baby's cry means. Doesn't always mean that they're angry or whatever. Just there's various things they're letting you know. Ages and stages of development. Building a strong bond. Your child's growing brain. Using mindfulness to keep your cool. Oh yeah. Effective discipline young children can understand. I always love the one where it says, how many times am I going to tell you this? And the little kid says 319. I mean, we keep repeating ourselves. Well, sometimes we don't need to keep repeating ourselves. Choices and consequences. That's one of my favorites. 6 ways to prepare your child for school, success, and a whole lot more. So if you're interested, you can give Kathleen Colby, the Director of Training Services, a call at 664-3608, extension 226, or you can fax them at 664-3661. Again, give Kathy a call at 664-3608, extension 226, and that's Prevention Works. Okay? Now, we did something a little different. We've got a virtual tour here, a virtual exhibition. So this is a please visit the Patterson Library's virtual gallery. And it's the first digital-only exhibition of its kind right now at the library. And it's a virtual tour of the NSAA artist, and it's running from June 12 to July 3. So I'm going to talk, and they're going to scroll little bit by little bit. Okay? They're currently experiencing a revolution in the way we consume art. And while they keenly miss the spatial component of the Octagon Gallery, they have been putting this together to share and connect you with their artist and the community. They're not trying to reproduce the Octagon Gallery experience, but instead giving artists and patrons a virtual home for their works of art to be seen, heard, and seen, even contacted by prospective art patrons. So as you're going along, I'm seeing some 3D art. I'm seeing, looks like prints and beautiful paintings. Virtual programming may become a new normal for how we view and participate with our friends and colleagues. Our education does not have to come to a standstill, but our way of viewing and participating in group activities has changed as we, as they say, muddle through this crisis. So if you're interested after watching this, and for those that are listening, you go to Patterson Library, all one word, .info, /the-virtual-gallery. Okay, one more time. Patterson Library, all one word, .info, / the word the, virtual gallery. And up comes all those great photos. And thank you, Nancy Nixon Ensign, the curator, for sharing that with us and now you. Okay? Virtual exhibition of those members, June 12th to the 3rd. Okay, and finally, this is a mark your calendar kind of a thing we've mentioned off and on as we have time. All right, here we go. Despite the COVID-19, the Chautauqua Center is still planning their 7th annual Family Fun Days to take place this summer. They'll return to their popular format of hosting 2 events, one in Dunkirk on Wednesday, August 12th, and one in Jamestown on August 13th, if we are able to host large gatherings at that time. We will proceed with our backpack and school supply giveaway in a safe manner. Either way, we need your help. Please sign up to sponsor and or vendor using the forms that they have online. If you have more information, you give them a call at 484-4334 or 485-3933. Okay? And let's just see here. They have all kinds of fun activities, so let's keep our fingers crossed that they can have a fun day. I know that there's a lot of events that are taking place outdoors, and you wear your masks and things like that, and you still can have a good day. So again, that's coming up on August 12th and 13th, and we'll talk more about that as we get closer. All right, we're going to take a breather. We're going to be right back, so watch this. Stay tuned.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Good kisses. Good kisses. You heard how loud
I heard. It wasn't you. Yeah. It was the...
Is that bacon?
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Oh my gosh. I would rather sleep than eat when I was a kid. Obviously, things have changed. I like to eat now rather than sleep. It's gone the other way around. But yeah, people don't realize teenagers just love to sleep in, and it's that growing spurt they're in. Okay, enough on that. Want to welcome back to the show Michele Starwalt, who has represented a number of organizations, and one special one was Rotary over time. And welcome back, Michele.
Good morning. Welcome. Thank you for having me again, Doc. It's always a pleasure to be here.
We have fun talking, don't we?
We sure do.
So, you contacted me a while back, and you were telling me about something that you've been involved with, and I'm going like, I thought I had a lot of irons in the fire. You really do. So, before we do that, tell us a little bit about yourself, because now you're representing things a little differently today. So, I mean, you've represented, like I said, Rotary and other things, but can you tell a little bit about yourself?
Sure thing. I think one of my biggest influencers in my life has been my family. And for anybody who knows me, they know that. But now that I'm branching out even a little more, I feel it's very important to share that history. My mother is the youngest of 12 children. Her parents were immigrants from Poland in the early 1900s. And she's the actual only living member of the Bielak family.
Last one standing.
Last one standing.
Is she the baby?
She is the baby. She's a young and energetic 83 right now. And
Does she watch the show?
She does watch the show.
Well,
she may even be on right now. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. And she grew up during the Depression, very hard life. Her father died when she was just about 5 years old. And so the older brothers and sisters ended up having to quit school and go to work and things like that. And their determination and personal development as a family, as long as I've been talking about it, it still gives me chills to think of their existence and how they all became prosperous adults, and how they constantly gave back to their family and to their faith and to their community, like bar none, every single one of them. And then my father was born and raised in Illinois, and cattle farming and corn farming, and he also experienced a very tragic circumstance when he was young, about 8 or 9 years old. His house burnt down.
Oh my gosh.
And his mother and his younger brother Dean
Uh-oh.
and a child that his mom was expecting at the time perished in the fire.
Oh my gosh.
So it was just him and his dad for several years until his dad remarried, and then his stepmom, and then he had a sister too. And so they're very unique and tragic somewhat. Life really embodied the people that they became. And so when they found one another and they married, they took their mutual lives and combined them to one, but that same stance of faith and community service and interaction and just giving of themselves constantly fostered their life. And then from the time I was a kid, it definitely fostered mine. So with all the different organizations that I've been a part of and different boards that I belong to, that's always in the back of my head. Like, I want to still do them proud, and I don't have any brothers and sisters, so the community as a whole and all the different events and organizations that I chair and I'm a part of have really become my extended family. And I always, again, carry that in the back of my head, that I want to further their mission in life by giving and being part of the community.
Wow, that's quite a story. I have a question for you.
Sure.
I asked my guest last week, and I guessed it right. With your background and interest in community, were you a Girl Scout?
I was a Girl Scout.
I'm right again. You know,
I was a Girl
I've been
Scout.
doing a survey of people that are community minded, and they were either a Boy Scout or Girl Scout or were in some kind of a youth group that provided that core value of community and service to others. You know, we're living in a time right now where we're seeing people really shining in that area of giving and serving each other and rising up and finding a way to make things as good as we can make it, you know, in these crazy times we live in. Wow. Well, thanks for sharing that story. But now you have kiddos of your own, you were telling me, right?
I do. I have 3 daughters. Clarissa is my oldest. She's an employee of Brooks Hospital. Kristen is my middle daughter, and she owns her own tanning salon.
And we just found out in this
Northeast
same place?
Pennsylvania, where your daughter
All right, we're gonna have to
also
talk to
owns the
Steph about
salon.
that, yeah.
And my daughter has mentioned your daughter on several occasions.
Wow.
I think they've teamed up for a few different
I'll bet they have.
community events.
Yeah.
And then my youngest daughter, Jessica, is a teacher, kindergarten teacher at Silver Creek Central. And I also have 6 grandchildren.
You had 3 daughters and survived.
Yes, I know. Sometimes I'm not sure how, especially the teenage years, but did survive indeed.
Oh boy. Well, I have 1 daughter, but 3 boys, but she kept things hopping, I'll tell you that much. They were lots of fun growing up. Okay. All right, well, so today, in light of all this, you contacted me and said, could you come on and talk about personal development training? And I'm thinking to myself, what are we talking, exercise here, or what are we talking? What is personal development?
So along my journey, and especially since starting my own business, I have come across some of the most amazing human beings. And even with all my past involvement in the community, it really does continually surprise me and motivate me personally. All of the people that are doing so much good in our little community and in the Western New York area, sometimes with such great odds and disabilities and personal crises stacks against them, but they're still overcoming all of that, and they're really making progress in their own lives and setting goals, meeting those goals, and even going past those goals. So I've looked at them and I've wondered, how is that possible? Like, even now with COVID-19 and social distancing, our community is still standing strong, and these people are still making a difference. I was just telling you before the show started about the Big Give Chautauqua
Right, it
campaign.
ended yesterday.
It did end yesterday, and I don't know the comparable numbers to last year, but I know all the organizations that I was supporting exceeded their goals.
Yeah,
And
I
you
heard
had
I
mentioned
heard something similar, yeah.
you had mentioned CASA before.
Right.
I was on the CASA board. They did outstanding. Prevention Works is still going very strong. Boys and Girls Clubs are doing great. And it just shows you, even with all the unemployment, even with all the businesses still having to have their doors closed, possibly reopening in the next week, but having limited capacity of seating, people still have that giving nature. So personal development, where does that come from? Like, what is the drive? Where do we get it from? And how do we advance? And how do we help the people who may not have that inner fire? How do we get them to that next spot too?
You know, just piggyback on what you were saying, I mentioned the mission of this show. This show is to talk about the good stuff in Chautauqua County. I could have this show for another 100 years. I will never run out of good stories or people to talk about the good stuff here. Greg Carlson, who works for the county, he talks about the fact that this is a great place to be a veteran because they're so supportive. We, as a community, support our veterans. We support our children. We support so much. And so, you know, a lot of people say, we live in Chautauqua, blah, 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 taxes, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's always that kind of a thing. This is a great place to live. And I'm so glad to hear what you're saying because it really supports what I've said and what many of my guests have said.
Right now, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we can turn on the radio, we can listen to streaming, we can tap all of our news sources, and I believe the majority is really down, bad, disruptive, sometimes
I never
horrific
noticed
news.
that.
And
Jeez.
we need that information because we need to be able to fight against it and give justice where justice is due. But we have to focus on the positive
Right.
because if our brains are wired to constantly focus on the negative, none of us are going to be achieving.
You know what I'm seeing? A lot of people are having these things pop up on their phones, these little announcements. And I finally said, why don't you just put your phone away and you'll have a lot less stress. But everybody just like, what's the latest on this? And when are they going to open that? And, you know, I got to get my hair done. I got to do this. And it's like, relax. It's all going to be okay eventually here.
Very, very true. And for those of us who haven't had our hair done yet, we're looking very forward to getting back into the salon or barber shops, that's for sure.
All right, so you kind of gave me the backdrop of your interest and how you're wired. But how did you start doing this kind of stuff?
So
I don't know what to call it, training, I guess.
Yeah, working under the great, I have her saved in my phone as Deb the Great Kathman through Chautauqua
Oh, I know
Striders.
Deb, yeah.
And I was there for several years, close to 15. And when I left Striders, many of the schools and businesses that I had worked with during my reign there were contacting me to provide trainings and workshops and even trying to get some mentoring programs and speaking to people who were having mentoring programs in their businesses or organizations. And at first I was like, sure, I'll do that. I love doing that, you know. And as time went on and the groups got a little larger and a little bigger, somebody said, you know, Michele, it really isn't right to utilize your time like this without some type of monetary payback. So that's kind of how the whole thing started. But it really is a passion of mine. Before I turned 50, that year between like 49
You're over
and
50?
50,
No, who wouldn't have known that?
I kept saying I needed to reinvent myself. Like something I was feeling stagnant and, you know, sometimes people say you go through a midlife crisis, and fortunately I didn't buy anything crazy or, or speed too fast on a regular basis. But I kept saying I need to reinvent myself. Something needs to click that hasn't been clicking in a while. And I started paying attention to more success stories in our area. And the people who tend to fly below the radar, who aren't getting a lot of the awards or a lot of the certificates or graduating in the top 10% of their class, they have stories to tell that would inspire Winston Churchill. You know, they have what it takes to really truly succeed, and I started to be drawn to that. And the more that I was drawn to that, the more I started to speak about it and enable them also to share their stories. So on a regular basis, I feature something that's called the Shining Star, and I've had some amazing, amazing people. There was a conference in the early fall where I took several youth from Chautauqua County and the Chautauqua County Youth Bureau Board, and Youth Bureau paid for their stay at a conference in Albany. And these were 4 individuals who probably would have not been recognized on a regular basis. They had some trying times. One may have made a choice that wasn't the best choice at that time in her life, and it was a rock star moment for all of them to be able to be on a podium at a state conference and highlighted for their accomplishments.
Wow. So in the scheme of the world, at least at one point in time, you'd be watching TV and there were these info commercials about, Tony so-and-so will make your life better and use his book, or watch this video, or buy this, whatever. I mean, how do you compete in a world like that?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
And I honestly say I don't compete in that world. And I'm not sure that I want to compete. Things were going great. Of course, everybody has struggled now that we have to social distance and can't have large groups of people and things like that. But I don't tend to think I compete in that world. I've received contracts through some schools in the Tri-County area, some smaller businesses, a few larger businesses, things like entities like the YW out in Erie County. And so those are niches that I'm very comfortable in, and I don't need to be the grandiose, pack of 500,000, contract or stadium or anything like that.
With the lavalier mic on and a big video behind you.
Exactly. I often think of a lady who was one of my inspirations, and when you talk about a mentor, it was Antoinette Rose from Silver Creek. I was on a youth choir. She was my organ teacher, and she was the first person to have me lector in church at a time when there were no females on the altar in church, and there certainly weren't any young girls lecturing at that time. And I always said, once I had that microphone in front of my face, it was like, wow, this is great.
The power.
I like the way that sounded.
You want a TV show? It's addicting.
And but in the competition realm, it's more about the other people and what can be brought to them than about anything that I have to offer.
Again, you're resonating with me. When people come to the show, they'll say, what are you going to talk about? I go, I don't know. What are you going to talk about? And this show is not about me. And I think hopefully I accomplished that. I just ask questions because I try to bring out the best of those folks. And I think you're saying the same thing. Is like we try to bring out those things and that sort of thing. So that's cool. So you've talked about it in general, but kind of paint a picture. What would be like a typical month? What do you do? What does a personal development trainer do?
So one of my favorite workshops is called Doormat Syndrome, and it sometimes is geared for women and young girls, teenage girls, or women who have been or are in some type of domestic violence or a domestic abusive relationship. And we do a series of events, and of course I've toned it down to do virtual trainings and things like that. They're definitely not as impactful as if we were in person, but the women that are in attendance have several different things strewn about the lawn that they can walk through. And I ask a series of questions. Have you ever kept quiet when you knew you should have reported something to an adult that you trust or to the police? And at first, people are very hesitant, especially the younger girls, the teenage girls. They don't want to be that person. So I raise my hand and I walk through, literally, bananas or dirt or compost or something like that. And then I walk across a clean white carpet. And then I see some tears in the audience. Somebody will raise their hand and they'll walk through something. Crumbled up pine cones. Each of the items on the ground has a symbol to them. And so all of a sudden you see this beautiful white carpet
Oh boy.
with all grape stains, dirt, banana skins on it. And the symbolism is that this beautiful carpet is your heart and your soul. And the more you allow people to walk on it, the worse off you're going to be.
Wow.
And so if it's a class or a group, and then sometimes these things are confidential because if it's for like a battered women's shelter, but they keep that carpet as a symbol of what has happened in their lives. But at the end of the workshop, they're able to make their own carpet, and they're able to put Swarovski crystals on it,
Oh, nice.
and gemstones, and design it to make it their own individual carpet, and then they're able to put that in their locker or on their wall, and know that they have the ability to speak up, or they have the ability to say no, or they have the ability to think, I'm not going to take this anymore, and there's help out there for me. Or I have the ability to realize that this is the 10th to 15th time someone has promised me something and it hasn't taken place. I have the ability now to recognize that and do something about it.
That's powerful for sure. Wow.
So yeah, so that's one of the workshops. I also do strength-based management, which I always say, we're educated. We've all gone, we've gone to college, we've taken seminars, we get certifications, we go to trainings. Some of our best learning devices is hands-on, on the job, working with different types of people, working with different managers and different styles. So some of the best strengths-based management principles I know and I implement have been taught to me and worked with me with others. And I always bring back Deb Kathman, Scott Bromberg from Private Industry Council, Betty Gossett, who now works at SUNY Fredonia. They were some of the best, not bosses, but leaders. So strength-based management is all about empowering your staff and your employees to do the absolute best that they can do without having to micromanage them.
That's hard for some people.
It is very difficult for some people, and when I look at this trifold, I think of a time where I had two stellar employees working on a trifold for me, and it was first publication, 10th publication, here, Michele, take a look at it, and it came to be on a Friday at about 4:30, and Denny was her name, and she set it on my desk, and she said, this is it. This is like the final copy, and if you want to do anything else with it, you can work on it over the weekend. And I apologized after the fact. I said, I'm really sorry. This was like too intense. I was like breathing down their necks during this entire week. And thankfully, she had the gumption to speak up at Friday at 4:30. And so it's a learning process. We learn from those things. I tend to be a little bit of a control freak. So to step back and let someone take their own initiative and run with it, even if it turns out that it's not the highest quality, is still better in the long run than breathing down someone's neck.
I used to scare all my employees from job to job wherever I went, or organizations that I've been chair of or whatever. And I used to say to them, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You're here because you were the best of the best. If you need my help, call me. And I'd walk away, and they all like, wait a minute, what just happened here? It's like, I'm serious. And we had a great relationship over the years of various organizations, like I said, and it was like they weren't even prepared how that was supposed to work, because they have the various groups have been so used to being told what to do. And I said, I don't, believe it or not, I don't have the answers. I said, I'll work with you to find those answers, but I don't have the answers, because you don't either, and you don't, but together we'll do it.
And in the beginning of a situation like that, you're really empowering the people.
Unbelievable.
You're empowering them so they get to that next level, and then they have more confidence, and they feel much better, stronger, I can do this, as opposed to, is this right? Did I do it correctly?
You know, you mentioned the women in domestic violence. We talk about organizations. leadership styles and things of this nature. And I've taught some of that stuff too at the college. But putting it all together right here now, I think that there are some people that, and you'll understand where I'm going with this, they have to have control. They have to be in charge. And by doing that, they destroy the confidence of the other folks, right? And if we look around the world today, if we could empower more people to take charge, they're not sitting back waiting, right?
Absolutely. And it goes into a personal level too. My middle daughter, the one in Northeast, she's one of the most creative, energetic. She's very much probably most similar to my personal style of dealing and working with people. And she's always thinking 10 steps ahead. And that type of personality, sometimes when they're teenagers, might be a little rambunctious, or I don't know, might challenge you a little more than you're used to being challenged. I had two bookends that were just, compliant, and she was always very innovative. And I always said, if I knew now what I could have known then, her teen years would have been much different, because I would have embraced every single initiative, wacky or not, because her potential was endless. And I stifled her. I really did. I stifled her during the teenage years. And I think that's one thing about personal development too. We really have to admit where we struggled a bit, where we stumbled, and acknowledge our mistakes, and then take it at that level and then move on.
Yeah, and we have to allow people to make mistakes, because that's how we all learn. But we seem to worry about mistakes, looking at it negatively. I forgot, it was Edison did the light bulb 500 times, and the 501st time it worked, I mean, that's life, and we should embrace that, rather than, trying to say, get out of the way, I'll do it. We're not helping people. And that's how people that are in violent relationships, they need that confidence building, right?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And they each person, no matter where they are in life, what educational background, what socioeconomic background, everybody has that in them to better themselves. There's not one person in this world that doesn't have that, some spark in them to bring it and move it to the next level. It's up to us maybe to ignite it a little bit, but everybody has it.
Yeah. And do you do any programs for schools or organizations on bullying?
That's interesting, because before the whole COVID hit, I was actually contracted with a district in the Tri-County area, and it was going to be working with frontline staff, not so much the educators, but the frontline staff, even the bus drivers and the clerical people, and taking a look at different learning styles of children, different interaction, and some of the warning signs that we as adults might miss when we're working with youth who may be a child who's getting bullied but isn't talking about it. There's so many outward signs, the body language, that we can pick up on and just keep a close eye out for, and acknowledge it, and try and work with that child. So yes.
What made me think of that was when you were saying, when you have people, you're working with domestic violence, and they raise their hand if they've ever seen something and didn't say anything. That's bullying, where you have the kid that's watching and never says anything and could have intervened,
Very true.
So interesting, and the frontline people could do the same.
Right.
Okay, so you brought a whole slew of pictures, so let's tell some stories.
Sure thing.
Want to do that?
Yes.
So Jeff, let's gin up the machine there, and let's see what we got.
So one thing I've been doing, and I had a wonderful young lady, her name was Meredith from SUNY Fredonia. She was a senior. She was my marketing intern this semester, so she helped me in a lot of tech online social media areas that I am not an expertise at. So something that I've been doing is like a feel-good Monday post or a management tip Monday post, and this was one of them. Be the light, be the inspiration, be the positivity, be the solution. And what I've been doing is gathering photos that I find on social media that I absolutely love, and taking that and putting it, in a display on social media venues. And this particular picture was taken by Brenda Tarnowski Swanson from the Dunkirk, Fredonia area, and that's gorgeous Lake Erie. People think that might be in Hawaii, but those are the shores of Lake Erie at sunset.
Hey, I got to share something that just
Sure
got
thing.
texted to me. Someone might be watching right now, and they wrote, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work."
Absolutely. I
So
love that.
thank you for that, folks.
You are a shining star, whoever sent that in. That is fantastic.
And that's a quote from Thomas Edison, evidently.
Yes, excellent. Great.
Someone called it in.
That was great.
Okay. Oh, we have a caller.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm
Good
sorry,
morning, caller.
Good
Well,
morning.
good morning, Michelle. Good morning, Doc. This is Linda Spalding from Senior Employment.
Yes, ma'am.
Michelle, I am enjoying your presentation so much. It's just phenomenal and inspiring. That's one of the things that I do with my Senior Employment program. I try to look not just at their job search skills and, resumes and interviews. That's all very important. But we look at the total person, what they bring with them, their stress, their emotional situation. That has so much to do with the way they go about everything.
I'll tell you what, I'll step out and the two of you can do the show, okay?
I just did a presentation, a national presentation to our national contractors
Wow.
on stress management and self-confidence and assertiveness in their life and in their job search.
That's great, Linda. Thank you so much for calling. And that, when you're when you're looking at people's resumes and taking them where they're at and looking at their bright spots, I did a training for Lutheran Social Services for the Foster Grandparents Program. Worked with Brenda Wallier out of the RSVP
Oh,
program.
I know them very well.
Yeah,
yes.
Brenda's fantastic. But what a tremendous group of individuals. And I think you might know them, Doc, because they've always been very
know who they
active
are.
in the Ripley school
I know who
system,
they are.
too. You're so fortunate, really, to be able to work with that population, and thank goodness for people like you who truly value all of those senior citizens who've given people like us, the younger generations, so much to look forward to in this lifetime.
Yes, yes. It's a beautiful population, and they're very unique. And it's not just job applications and resumes. It's so much more than that.
Very true. Thank you so much, Linda. You have a great rest of the weekend.
Well, you too. And I'd like to announce that I've got openings. We're anxious to get going. I've got positions in just about any occupation you can think of in our subsidized employment slot. We need to fill them. I haven't been able to do anything since March, so people should be looking into things, and they should feel free to call the Office for the Aging, 753-4471. But actually, my direct line, which I get the information immediately because I've been working from home, is 753-4856.
Lynn, are you getting any idea when they're going to open you guys up? I mean, things
I
are
don't-
starting to unroll here.
I don't know, but I have to start going out, and I have to check all the host sites to make sure that they're in compliance with the new COVID safety
Ooh, I had
regulations.
thought of that. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a good time if someone's interested in senior employment to give you a call and get some of the wheels turning, right?
Yes, because as soon as I get back, I'm going to start putting people on.
Okay. All right. Please tell me it's still sunny outside.
Oh, it's beautiful out.
All right. We're in the tube here, so I have no windows. So hopefully it is. The weather keeps changing on me.
Yeah, I love weather like this. Of course, this is a real New York State Chautauqua day.
Oh, absolutely.
Weather. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for calling, and you take care. Okay.
Thanks,
You
Linda.
too, and thank you. And Michelle, I just love your presentation.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks. Okay. Let's keep.
She's a gem.
Absolutely. Let's
Yeah, let's roll to the
bring
next.
on the next picture, Jeff. Or that one. Excuse me. All right, what's the story here?
So this is Carm and his niece Terry. They're the owners of Big Dipper in Dunkirk, which has been around for 50-some years now. Carm recently passed away.
Oh, dear.
But when you talk about a strength-based management philosophy, Big Dipper is definitely one of them. They hire on kids who are 16, and some of them work there up until, they have their own careers, but it's such a place that they love and want to be part of that they continue to work on there. My youngest daughter actually worked there all the way up until probably her third year in teaching.
Who wouldn't want to work
Who wouldn't want to work in an ice cream shop?
Oh my
Exactly.
God, it'd be like 1,000 pounds.
They build up their employees, and with each level of responsibility that's met, then they give them some more challenges too. So
Great.
they've been an inspiration.
Nice professional rung there.
Very true.
Okay.
Next. So the lady sitting to the right with the red shirt, her name is Casey. She's visually impaired, and she is a musician. She sings, she plays the piano, she reads Braille in both English and Spanish,
Oh my gosh.
and she's bilingual. And she was one of the people that I had the hardest time bringing on. It was a licensed after-school program, so there was a lot of rules and regulations by the state, and it took truly about 6 months to get her approved and be put on. And the district, it was Brockton, the school district, Jason Delkamp, the superintendent, absolutely adored her. So there's someone who, personal development from day one, when she was 6 months old, was when she was diagnosed as being blind. To this day, she's over 40, and she continues to take classes, she continues to work online, and just a true inspiration.
And technology is there to support her?
Absolutely. She has a scanner where she can scan something that's font printed, and it spits it out in Braille.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Good stuff. Okay, let's keep going.
Amazing, yes. So this lady is a huge inspiration. Her name is Curtis Lavalle. She actually changed her name to incorporate her grandparents' names into one. She's a singer. She's from the Buffalo area. She's actually planning, once COVID ends, moving down to Louisiana to try and get into some music
Big
gigs
Easy.
and big gigs down there. And the first time I heard her sing, it was acoustic in a small room with a group of women, and just talking about it now, I truly have chills. If you Google her name, Curtis Lavalle, she's got a Facebook page. She's an old soul. Her voice is something similar to maybe like Ella Fitzgerald.
Oh
just
my
a
gosh, beautiful.
just a vision with a really true story to tell about women in the music industry, and sometimes how she wouldn't even make as much money as a guitarist who was back. She was the key person and was not making as much money as the guitarist who was playing.
I'm a
for her.
guitarist, and you got to remember the guitarist doesn't make much money, so
Exactly.
she was getting a couple tips.
So
in.
another true inspiration.
People think that musicians make a lot of money. No, they don't.
So this is Danielle and her husband Matthew, and I came across her through a Facebook post, and it was their journey through adoption. And they had gone through some very costly, invasive, sometimes
yes,
painful,
very painful. The shots
fertility
and things
treatments.
like that,
And they entered into a nationwide adoption registry and have been approved. They're going to be adopting 4 children from a different state.
Oh.
They're all siblings. Oof. Exactly. But because of COVID right now, they're not able to transport them across state lines. But when things open up, they will be the proud parents of 4 children.
For our listeners who can't appreciate these pictures, let's describe it. Right now you're looking at husband and wife standing with a little chalkboard with some, like a pumpkin and some flowers in a park. And go ahead and read the sign.
It says, "Get ready to fall in love. We're adopting." And so to be able to connect with Danielle when I was, writing her Shining Star piece, there's so many resources out there for parents who are unable to conceive and want to adopt. And there are thousands of children in the foster care system across America who are ready for adoption.
I was actually adopted.
More chills, little tears.
Here's another.
St. Patrick's Day when I was 12, I think.
What is your name?
Emerald.
Emerald. So Emerald is telling us that she was adopted on St. Patrick's Day. Well, congratulations and kudos to your parents.
Yeah. I was their first one, and my little sister Mia was their last one adopting.
That's wonderful.
And we're still doing it.
What a gift.
Yeah,
What a
yeah.
true gift.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Em, for that.
This is another shining star. His name is 6'2" Rosario. He's the owner of Chautauqua Hurricane, a semi-pro basketball team. He's also the athletic director for the Salvation Army in Dunkirk. And 6'2" gives hope to male and female athletes who may not have hope at all in their lives. Some of them have been on probation. Some of them are from homes where they're constantly transferring to other homes. Some of them are failing academically. And through his faith, through his mentoring, through his academic stance, they have to be performing well to be on his teams. He has taken so many of these youth in our county and moved them on to the next level. Many of them have joined the military, have enrolled in the service. Many have enrolled in college, and it really is because of him. He's truly an unsung hero. You don't hear that much about him, but what an inspiration to hundreds of children throughout the years.
So right now we're looking at a beautiful poster, it looks like to me, called the Chautauqua Hurricane. There's 9 players there, and this looks like the NBA. I mean, this looks like professional basketball.
They do a lot of community service too.
That's great. And where are they located?
In Chautauqua County. So their practices are sometimes at the college, sometimes at the Salvation Armies, and of course everything is at a standstill now, but
Right.
they're ready to start getting on that court again.
All right. And so what was your connection with them?
I just wanted to feature 6'2" as a shining star because, again, he's the person who falls under the radar, isn't widely acclaimed, but does more good than probably about 10 to 15 people put together.
Wow. Okay, another one.
What a story. So I get a little choked up. The lady on the left is Debbie, and this is her granddaughter, her eldest granddaughter, Mia. Debbie almost died from a severe addiction to alcohol. She was in a coma at ECMC for Buffalo General, for over 20 days.
Wow.
And this August, she will be celebrating 10 years sobriety.
Good on her.
So for any human being in this area who might be listening around the world who is addicted to either alcohol or illegal substances, opioid addictions, there are resources out there for you, and there is hope. And this beautiful lady is one of those inspirational stories filled with hope. 10 years sober this August. So congratulations, Debbie.
Great. Okay. Wow. You're giving me chills now.
Yeah.
Oh, there's somebody we know there.
So these are the 4 individuals that I talked to you about earlier on that were featured at the Association of New York State Youth Bureau Conference in Albany in the fall at the Desmond Hotel. Again, the Chautauqua County Youth Bureau paid for all of us to be able to stay there and share our story. Casey is on the left. She's visually impaired. Standing behind her is Wilfredo. He at the age of just 2 years old, had heart surgery. He's had 7 heart surgeries since.
Oh my gosh.
He is has learning disabilities, but he is graduating from high school this year.
Good for him. Congratulations.
The young lady with the beautiful bow on top is Mallory. Mallory's kind of famous in this area. There's a lot of people do know Mallory. She lost a kidney to cancer when she was young, and now she's in her 20s, and she still is such an advocate for Carly's Club through Roswell, and just does clothing drives and item drives for Roswell in the Christmas season. And then the young lady on the left, she's actually my daughter. She was a teen mom at the age of 17, could have had a very different life, but through her own inner determination, succeeded and is now an elementary school teacher.
And here we are with about a half a minute left. So if some people want to dig a little deeper into what you do, how do they get a hold of you?
They can call me on my phone, 467-1769. My website should actually be up and running by the end of the month. It's still in development. I do have a Facebook page, MD Star Presentations, and I have an email too. You can either email me in person, mdstar212@gmail, or mdstar.presentations@gmail.
Well, Michele, thanks for joining us today. I hope you all been inspired to think about anybody anybody, it doesn't have to be big names, that do some really good stuff. And thanks for you helping them along their journey. So that's a wrap for another week. We're going to talk some more on this. Woo! That was loud, Jeff. I have an earpiece. That just went right through my head. I'm Doc Hamels, and my guest today has been Michele Starwalt, who's a personal development trainer, and she has her MD Star presentations. Check her out if you want. And we're going to do this all again next week, right here at Access at Chautauqua, channel 1301. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Enjoy the great weather that we're having here in Chautauqua County. Be safe, be strong, and wear those masks. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Great show.